Are you thinking about moving to Oregon and the Corvallis area is high on your list? Well, we've moved over 400 families in the Mid-Willamette Valley, and we can help you too. We reached out to our clients and friends and said, hey, if you're willing to go on camera and tell your Oregon story, we'll honor your time by donating to a local nonprofit, Jackson Street Youth Services. About 15 of our friends responded enthusiastically. So let's hear what these people have to say about their move here and their life in the area. We'll do our best to show you places on the screen when they're mentioned, and there'll be links in the description below.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm Michael Kreslowski with Team K Realty out of Remax in Corvallis, and today we're joined by Stephanie, who is actually a volunteer at Jackson Street Youth Services. So thank you for being here.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm saying it that way because all the other folks that we've done as part of this interview about their life in Oregon series have all been clients and friends of ours, but we're doing this project as a way to benefit Jackson Street. It's a fundraiser of sorts. And as part of that, Stephanie was so kind as to say, I'll be a part of the project just because I love Jackson Street Youth Shelter. So we're going to talk a little bit about both of those things, her experience in life in Oregon, but also this amazing local nonprofit. And I'll let you decide exactly how to weave those together as you tell us your story.
Yes.
That makes sense.
So I am newer to the area. So I lived in Corvallis for 2.5 years now.
Okay.
Part of moving here, I wanted to get involved with the community. And seeing that there is definitely Pacific Northwest, it's great Mediterranean weather. With that, there is a significant homeless population.
Gotcha.
I moved here from Cincinnati, Ohio. Large city, definitely some homeless there. But here, I definitely saw that impact on the city. And not just adults, but young adults as well. And so reading some more about that and how I could get involved, that's how I got connected with Jackson Street. So Jackson Street, they do a number of things. So all of their goal overall is they want these children to be, if they can, reunited with their families. They are trying to not have fractured families, but then also teaching them to be self-sufficient, giving them life skills. So they provide 24-hour emergency shelter and help for those kids. They do street outreach programs.
Sure.
They do mentorships. And then for those that are a little bit older, they do provide housing for those. And again, it's teaching those life skills and having them be great members of the community. So I volunteer. I do some different things, whether it's making health kits or helping support events that happen throughout the year. One thing that I have really loved about it is on the weekends they'll have, in the summer, there's a big barbecue.
Yeah.
And it's providing, too, a chance for all of these kids to come together and network. And you can see that they're all each other's family in a way, too. And just really great kids. And it's just good. A lot of the volunteers are extremely committed. And they are there on a regular basis, there for those children. So they can see the faces. It's somebody that's familiar. And they know that they always have support from their community.
That is outstanding. And I didn't realize just how multifaceted the nonprofit was until you informed me just now. I mean, I guess I know the basics of it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate, just as a member of the community and fellow human being, I really appreciate that you're doing that work. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been extremely rewarding. And I have a full-time job now. I wish I could spend, more time with the group. But I'm very fortunate to be involved, and it's an excellent staff as well.
Yeah. And what I think of as home base office is in downtown Corvallis on 4th Street, right?
Yeah.
But there's multiple offices and locations, not just in Corvallis, if I'm correct.
Correct. At Albany, there's an office in Albany, and then they're going to be expanding. They were able to get funding. So the Jackson Street team, they had applied for this grant and they were awarded some money. So some of that is going to expand facilities in the Albany area. But they're serving the Mid-Valley area as a whole.
So if people would like to be involved in Jackson Street and donate their time, not just their money, are there easy ways for them to integrate into the nonprofits? And what kind of help is being looked for? Right?
Yes. So go to jacksonstreet.org. That would be a great first step. There's lots of mentors. Those are volunteers.
Yeah.
Street outreach. I would say that there is very thought out training. So it's not, hey, let me know how I can help. And then they just send you out. There's several different training sessions that you go through. And I found that enormously helpful as well. It's trauma-informed care. So there's a lot that you're learning about, which is excellent. And then there's also a team-based approach. So it's never that you're doing anything on your own.
Sure.
It's just that you're there as a group and you're there to support one another. And I know especially for street outreach, everybody gets together. There's a meeting prior to going out and it's okay. Who is it that is the most important that we check in on? They go out, they go to the area. So there's different spots where the street outreach program goes around. And then after the day of volunteering, they come back as a group and they all say, okay, what is it that you saw? And talking about like children specifically that, hey, let's keep an eye on this. Or if there's a theme that emerged, that there was an event or something going on or specific needs that they have.
So there's really good systems in place to do this at a high level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a wonderful thing to kick off a conversation, not just about the nonprofit, but about your life in Oregon with, because believe it or not, a lot of people that we move here from other areas, they ask about volunteering. I feel like maybe the Corvallis School District motto is honoring diversity, but Philomath right next door, their city motto is City of Volunteers. And we have a lot of people that move here for a lot of different reasons, but we have a lot of retirees that move here too, that really want the education-based community and they're looking for ways to connect with it and volunteer and be a part of things and make an impact. What a wonderful highlight for this particular nonprofit.
Yes. Yeah. And outside of Jackson Street, there are so many opportunities to get involved with the community. And especially being somebody new to the area, moving in, it's a great way to get to know people as well.
That's a very good point too. Yeah. You said you moved here from Cincinnati?
Yes.
What brought you here from Ohio?
Yeah, my husband took a job. He had been with a job for a while and it took him here. So he was offered a role that required him to move and live here permanently. But interesting enough, this is back years ago, 2008. I was with a job and I took a job transfer to Portland. So we lived in Portland from 2008 to 2012.
So you actually are coming back to Oregon, even though it's your first time here.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So we knew that we loved the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Started a family in Oregon, ended up moving back to Ohio. Definitely missed the area. We were in Ohio for 10 years and when we had moved out here in 2008. That's when my husband took a position with a company that's based in Albany. Okay. So he was able to work remote, then was able to find an opportunity, a role that brought us back here. Yeah, this is a little bit closer to his office rather than Portland because he was making that 45-hour drive.
Gotcha.
That was a big commute. It was like, I would rather have more time with you. Let's move closer. And then finding Corvallis, which he had heard, he would visit here, in the evenings and go to Block 15 for dinner after work. Some of the great local restaurants. And so he knew Corvallis and was familiar with it. And just having the small college town energy and vibe. Yeah. And it has really good schools. And it was an easy sell for me.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah. It's fun to think that you were moving back to Oregon. We don't know each other before literally pressing record on this. Again, because most of the people are doing this with our clients, friends that we've known for years. I moved here from Florida, but I went to school in Ohio. So I was in North Ohio for 4 years. And I was one of those, it's really cold, but I guess I'll just slog through it and that'll be that. I've still got family in Ohio. And if you're not aware and you're listening or watching our videos, we have very mild seasons here, especially compared to places like Ohio or Florida.
But there's still seasons.
But they are still seasons.
That's what I love about it. You still get to see the seasons change, but you're not in the negative wind chill like as my parents north of Dayton are right now. So that's...
Yes, it's a very different way to experience the seasons. My wife was raised in far northern Maine, like basically southern Canada. And so she likes to joke all the time. She's like, here, we don't have to shovel the rain. Like, that's one of her catchphrases. Like,
and I get a lot of, from people that don't live in Oregon, friends are like, oh, don't you get tired of the rain? And what I would say is that it's like a misty rain. You just put on a jacket with a hood, put on your raincoat with a hood. They know that you're an out of towner if you have an umbrella. This person is not from Oregon, but we're still out and about throughout the entire winter and it is mild.
Yeah.
And it's not that bad. If you want snow, drive up to Mary's Peak and you can go sledding. And
there you go.
Yeah. Go to Mount Hood. And I could go on the access to skiing, access to the coast.
By all means.
Yes, we're definitely lovers of the outdoors. And even within Corvallis, what I love, it's 10 minutes and I can be at 4 different trailheads that are just amazing hikes. To be able to do that now that we're getting more and more sunlight, but especially late spring, summer, it's like after work, it's have a quick dinner and let's go for a hike. It's not just a weekend adventure that has to be scheduled and planned. You can just do it on a whim.
It really is a component of the lifestyle that you just have easy and instant access to here in the Mid Valley. And I didn't think to tell you this. We hopped right in and pressed record. But anytime that we're mentioning places or things, they'll be on the screen. So viewer listeners, right? Like I would expect that people who are listening to these conversations are probably listening to them like podcasts while they're making dinner, brushing their teeth, doing stuff like that. But if we mention, oh, this brewery, this trailhead, that kind of stuff, if you want to see what that looks like, it will be on the screen. We've got other videos, for example, a whole hike Vallis video, beer Vallis video. There's all kinds of references that I'll put links to. So people will get a visual to at least go from there.
Lovely.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I have not purchased it, but a friend of mine, plug for Grassroots Bookstore, the Book Experience. I love that bookstore. But she got a hiking book and it's all like Mid-Valley and a lot of them are Corvallis based, which she's going through and checking them off one by one. So we'll do those hikes together.
Yeah. That is a really fun thing about being here. You've got a small town vibe. It says city of Corvallis, but as we talk about all the time, right? It's this really a city.
It's a big town.
It's a big town.
It's a big town.
And we're surrounded by farm fields. So you've got instant access to all the great things that you're mentioning because we're also nestled into the hills, the Coast Range right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned too, just a lot of retirees coming here. Yeah. And I would say I've never seen so many fit 60 to 80-year-olds in my life, but there's definitely, I can see that, but there's also just beyond that, there is that energy. So it's not just the college campus and the college kids, but you have artists, you have engineers, scientists, you have all of these different kinds of people coming together. And there is never a moment where you don't see somebody on a bike, somebody walking, like people are active and out and about all the time. And again, that just like fuels like just that fun energy. And people are extremely friendly. I thought being from the Midwest, I did my undergrad in Kentucky. We're just like giant Labradors. How are you? I want to be your friend. But yeah, I found Corvallis to be like equally as friendly.
Nice. In a genuine way. Not just everyone says hello, but it really is just a good quality of people.
Yes.
Good.
And I annoy my children because we'll just be at Winco, my favorite grocery store. And they're like, Mom, do you have to talk to people? And just people will strike up a conversation by the bulk bins and let's talk about which nut mix variety or granola that you like to buy. And it happens.
I have been queried the same thing. My wife will frequently be like, do you have to talk to everybody?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Yes.
Not everybody.
Not just me. Cool.
Yeah.
And Winco, of course, we'll show that on the screen as you were talking about it, but that's our local 24/7 grocery store that's employee owned, which is a really neat thing. The Winco stands for Washington, Idaho, Nevada, Colorado, Oregon. So it's a regional thing. And if you watch all of these, you'll hear me joke at some other point when someone mentions a Winco. It's 24/7. It's a great place. Just don't be like me and go there to buy one single item the day that the OSU students are coming back to town. Because you'll be in line for an hour being like, why is it so busy here? Just time your life a little bit more deliberately than that, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I love to shop. There's a great specialty market. So First Alternative Co-op is fantastic. Market of Choice. But that's not where I do the bulk of my grocery shopping because I would go broke. But it's fun to shop.
I'm glad you mentioned those places too. My wife actually used to work at First Alternative. Oh. She worked as a rotating stalker. And I don't know why I did the air quotes too early there. She loves telling people, I'm a professional stalker, and then waiting for them to ask the follow-up question.
Yeah, wait for it.
But I said Winco's employee owned. I guess maybe a subtle difference. First Alternative it's a co-op, right? So it's like a locally owned, they have a board. And you don't even have to be a member to shop there.
Correct.
You can get sale days if you're a member and you get a member number. But you could just walk right in and they have hundreds of local products and a hot foods bar, all kinds of good stuff. We love the co-op. And I'm talking more than I want to here. This is for you. But Just out of curiosity, did you ever see, since you moved here, that billboard that Market of Choice did where they were like, we're the conventional grocery store?
No.
You didn't see that one?
Conventional.
It was this
conventional.
It was this like tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. I think what they were trying to say was like, hey, the co-op's like really hippie. We're like more of the normal version of all this.
And
Like,
there's nothing normal. I saw it was a jar of pickles, and it was like about this big. They were from Oregon, from a family farm. $15.99. That is not a conventional jar of pickles, but
I think Safeway maybe is like the conventional.
yeah, and Fred Meyer, Freddy's.
Yeah.
There's a Freddy's here, and then Trader Joe's. So fantastic. I would say one thing with Corvallis, we have friends in the Albany area and some of the other Philomath, some of the surrounding towns. I would say one thing moving to Corvallis, if you were somebody like, I like to go to Target 3 times a week, and I have to have a Costco nearby.
That's Albany.
That's in Albany.
Yeah.
That's where that is more, they have a lot more of the larger chain stores. And they said Trader Joe's. Like, we're lucky that we've got a Trader Joe's, but a lot of those big stores, I think Corvallis, I don't know if I'm correct on this.
Please.
It makes an effort to try and keep some of those bigger stores out of the city.
I think you're choosing your words very carefully. Yeah. Corvallis, it seems to me like if a Walmart was going in, people are boycotting it. They're like, don't go here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they end up doing just the grocery store part of it, but the real Walmart's in Albany.
Yeah.
And another one of our folks, they put it very well. They were like, these communities, Corvallis and Albany, are about the same size. Corvallis is the college town. Albany's the more normal town with the Costco and the Walmart. There's definitely a distinction there. There's a lot more like just focus on local businesses and not big chains here in town. But you do have access to both being next door.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 30 minutes away. It's not a voyage. You can get there.
You can make it.
Yeah. And the downtown of Albany, it's got a historic downtown. They've got a cool carousel, amazing restaurants. There's a lot to be had in Albany too. And Philomath is just adorable. And same thing. They've got a lot going on. So we do go outside of Corvallis.
Absolutely. And just to emphasize a point there, I've said this in some of our other videos too. I almost feel like we have to remind people or inform them, hey, we work in the whole area. I've lived in 2 of those 3 communities myself. Okay. It's not that we only help people buy and sell in Corvallis. Just happens to be that this conversation is more about Corvallis with Jackson Street and you living here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you're new to the channel, don't miss the narrated driving tours that we have of the neighborhoods. We put lots of time into doing that, and we have videos now, narrated driving tours of Corvallis, Albany, Philomath neighborhoods, and different driving tours of the outskirts of those communities as well. A lot of time and energy went into those. And our most watched video ever is the narrated driving tour of Corvallis with 20,000 views.
Nice.
And it's just me talking to myself in the car with a bunch of microphones and GoPros during COVID. And apparently I made at least good enough jokes that people watched the whole video.
I think that's worth checking out, everybody. Just for entertainment purposes.
Not for the jokes, though. Yeah. If you want to know what it's like to be stuck in a car with me for an hour and a half, knock yourself out. Yeah.
That would have been enormously helpful moving to the area because there was a lot of time, even just within Corvallis, there's so many different neighborhoods and they each are very distinctive. So we ended up finding our home on Witham Hill.
Oh, sure.
Lots of ups. Even though you're up on a hill, there's still lots of ups and downs. Wild turkeys, deer, big Doug fir tree. I love it. No home is alike. It's just very unique.
So let's go into that part of the conversation. So just so you know, we don't want you to say your street name or anything like that. Internet privacy is important. But if you're willing to talk about, wow, we bought a house in Witham Hill. Here's what we like about Witham Hill. Like that's super valuable. You already mentioned rolling hills, big trees, and real estate.
Heavily
we call that
wooded.
a park-like setting.
Yeah.
Right? Park-like setting means you've got big trees. Make sure that you keep your gutters clean. And you also have, as I say sarcastically, the local gangs. You've got the deer and the turkeys.
Okay. I was like, my son rides his bike all the time with some other kids. It might be.
No,
let me know if they misbehave.
The turkeys, they really will stop traffic. They don't care. I mean,
I found that you really don't have to stop. They will move. I slow. I don't stop, but you do have to watch out for the deer. Yes.
So your neighborhood's got, I feel like, a great vibe to it in that it's like houses in the woods, but you still have really easy access to a lot of different parts of town. And you don't have to talk about like specifically what your day job is if you don't want to, that's fine. But how do you feel like that neighborhood has served you in terms of things that you want easy access to, schools for the kids, just the general lifestyle?
Yeah. So the school, so my son is in elementary school, and that is Bessie Coleman Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is where I have a bias because it's the only school that my son has gone to since we moved to Corvallis.
Sure.
I love the staff. Going in, volunteering at the school, it just has such a wonderful, positive vibe to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. My daughter is at Crescent Valley
High school,
and she has had just a wonderful experience there. Really happy with the schools. But the neat thing about Witham Hill is that we can actually see the school out of our back door, and there's a little path, a walking path that goes down to the elementary school. And walking him to school in the morning. Now he doesn't want me to walk him anymore because he's a cool 5th grader.
Whoa. Yeah.
I know. It could broke my heart a little bit the first day of school. So I just trailed behind. He didn't see me.
Follow with a drone.
But it's what a unique and special experience that is. It's really nice. And I have friends that are in the neighborhood. My kids have friends. You're nestled in the trees, but the homes are still somewhat close together. And so I like that, having the neighborly feel to it.
That's a perfect description of the lifestyle there. And those are a lot of things that I love about that area too. To me, it reminds me of Connecticut where I grew up. Just the gently rolling hills and the trees and the vibe of all that.
Yeah.
Some of Witham Hill has HOAs, but not the big, gnarly, serious HOAs. There's very small HOAs to take care of the walking paths that go down to the school, stuff like that.
And it is a very low cost.
Yeah. Like what you'd see per month in other neighborhoods is like the per year.
Exactly. Yeah. And where our home sits, it's part of an HOA, and there's a community pool.
You're in the pool one.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, the HOA, to keep that low, we all take turns. So there's a sign-up sheet, and then it's your turn, and you clean the bathrooms if you do it, and you skim the pool. You don't do the chemicals. So there's somebody that sits on the board that does the pool chemicals and vacuums it. But it's one of those like, all right, if everybody chips in, we get to keep the costs reasonable. And that's just has been excellent for the kids in the summer.
So they do use that.
Yes.
Okay. My jokes are usually just puns. When they're not puns, half the time they must be inaccurate anyway. Because I feel like I drive by these pools and I'm like, I never see people there. But you do use it. Your kids actually enjoy taking advantage of that resource. Awesome. Or amenity, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. That's really fun. Yeah. This is an area where if there's apartment complexes you can rent that have pools, if people are using them, it's definitely just in the summer, right? Yeah. The rest of the time, it's really more hot tub season.
It's a hot tub.
Season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hot tubs in Oregon. That's just like definitely a thing, but
it is. I got one at Costco. Mm-hmm. It's an inflatable hot tub. It's like a training wheels hot tub. It was like $500. And it was like, let's see if we actually use this all the time. And we do. And we've had it for 2 or 3 years and it hasn't popped. We don't have any pet dogs or anything. That might be part of the whole thing. But it's been very neat to just go out there in the wintertime and stargaze and relax. And it wasn't like spending 10 or 15 grand. So yeah. At some point, we'll make a video about Hot Tub Vallis, whatever.
Okay, mentioning that, and it was a coworker that told me, I was saying, I got to run downtown to go to the post office.
Yeah.
Did you know there's one off 9th Street? There's like a hot tub or pool spa place. And I was like, okay, that sounds a lot closer, more like less lines, more convenient.
Schaefer's Pool and Spa.
Schaefer's Pool, but the post office is inside the spa. So you walk through, and the first time I went in, I was like, am I at the right place? One day I'm going to go with a swimsuit underneath.
Just try one out.
And I was just going to hop in.
And then mail some packages.
And then I'm going to, then mail my letters and just be on my way, because
that's awesome.
You can do that.
Yes. I have no idea what the connection is there. There's got to be one.
Yeah,
that's right on 9th Street. I noticed the same thing. I was like, what do these have in common?
No.
Yeah. But a great example of local entrepreneurship and supporting businesses.
Yeah, what makes Corvallis unique.
Let's see. Just in general, are there some additional just favorite places that you'd enjoy giving a shout out to, whether they're parks or restaurants or just things in the downtowns?
Yeah, as far as restaurants, Block 15 is definitely a favorite. My kids' favorite, especially in the summertime, is Sky High Brewing because they have a rooftop area. So you can get a special menu, a short menu where you can order food, get drinks. They have the corn toss game, but it's just excellent views from the city up there. But then the pub itself down on the lower levels, there's a little outdoor area that's covered on the one floor, and then there's indoor dining. That's a favorite. Taco Vino is a favorite. My daughter, for her birthday every year, wants to do Sada for sushi.
We love the sushi scene here. Yeah.
Beer Library is a favorite. We also like the Block 15, the one out that's like in a barn out in the country.
The Southtown Tap Room.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Can I chime in on that one?
Yeah.
So the downtown location is more of a conventional brew pub. That Southtown one, you've got a bunch of outdoor seating with views of Mary's Peak, and their nachos there are what I always recommend to people.
Yes.
Their nachos are, for whatever reason, different than the main restaurant, and we just love them there.
And there's like green space where like the kids will put like a ball in the back of the car, or you can go out and play where, my husband and I get to catch up and have that rare moment of adult conversation. And then there's also a distillery that's next door as well.
Four Spirits Distillery is really good. Their salads have a lot of seasonal fruits. We had like amazing peach and local chicken salads there once. Yeah, there's a lot of good food in the area.
There is. Yeah. And a lot of it is that like local, like farm to table type feel.
Yeah.
Gathering together farms. That is a very beautiful, unique experience.
It's actually my favorite restaurant in the whole world. It's just my favorite place to go. Yeah. And it's funny that would come up twice in one day. We're recording a couple of these back to back, and Heather, who you'll see with the similar YouTube background, was like, Gathering Together Farms is amazing. So I don't know if people will watch all of these or not, but oh my gosh, that's got to be on the list. Farm stand restaurant.
Yes. Let's see, Caves, that's when it's owned by the Block 15 owners. That's upscale dining experience. Del Ama, Castor. Can you tell me my way through the city when we moved? That's what you do the first year.
That's what I do. We're still doing it.
Yeah, it's hard to stop. Gosh, I'm trying to think what Squirrels is like the locals joint, only for adults, but so it's a 21 and up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I try to say, can we just have some burgers for lunch? Can I bring my kids? It's no. But you know what? It's a place that you can go when you do want to have like that one-on-one time with a partner just by yourself.
Yeah.
It's a no kid guarantee zone.
That's another way to put it that works. Yeah.
Yeah. I love children, but sometimes.
Sure. Right. You've got a child at elementary school, so that's a different type of conversation.
Right. Yeah, and I know I'm leaving some out. Taco Boar is fantastic, and we like that because that's close by. And Queen's Chopsticks is our Chinese takeout to-go place. But yeah, I think what we really found is it's hard to go wrong anywhere in Corvallis. I feel like the bar is set pretty high. So even a place that people say, it's okay. I find that it's better than a lot of the better places that I went to in Ohio. I'm happy.
Again, we're surrounded by farm fields here. So there's just so much fresh local produce and local agriculture, which makes it very conducive to having what I think of as being a wonderful food scene.
Yes.
Yeah. And all these things are subjective, but I'm a very big fan. Yeah.
I would also mention we have had a blast. There's 2 local independent theaters in Corvallis, both downtown, the White Side and then the Dark Side, which they're not related. Yeah.
But across the street from each other.
Yeah. And it's White Side, a lot of it's older movies that they'll do. My husband and I on a date night, we saw The Big Lebowski, and it's $6 a ticket too.
And this is a historic theater.
Yes.
It's got a vibe to it that is really special.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or spooky, a little. But then we took the kids. They had Goonies, and it just makes for, they had the Star Wars films. They had some of the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
And Dark Side, that's where you can see like more indie type films, documentaries. So that was Elemental. It was one, and it was talking about forest fires, but they had people there's a commentary afterwards where they brought people from Oregon State University that came in for some Q&A. They had brought in somebody, and it's from the Appalachian. It's called Hidden Rivers, a documentary. And it was the man who actually put it together had come to Corvallis. And again, it's like having the conversations afterward. Great experience. And again, like Oregon State, they do so much with the community. They do a science pub, in which I don't think it's back. I think it starts in February.
I was thinking, is it seasonal or did it just go away for a while? Seasonal?
It's seasonal.
Okay.
So I think they usually shut down like around Christmas time, but they're moving it. It was at Old World Deli, and I think
Yes.
they're moving it to the Prac Center this year.
The Prac Center being the very newly built Performing Arts Center. Am I getting that verbiage right?
Yes.
Okay. On campus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if fully funded, but there was someone that had provided like almost their entire estate, which had funded that. And it's a beautiful, amazing building. That's where the symphony plays. But you got to give a plug for that as well. That's been an amazing experience. And the neat thing about that is that it's people in the community, adults, but then it's also, they are paired like they are mentors. So you see them, they're paired with a youth, whether they're a student at Oregon State or just in the area, and just a beautiful experience.
I feel like there's so many wonderful arts and cultural activities, especially because it's a university town.
Mm-hmm.
It really brings in a lot, and it's up to you to take advantage and go do that. But there's wonderful opportunity, and those are great examples.
Yeah, and the Majestic Theater, I can't leave that out either. Yeah. And just an incredibly talented community here that puts on performances. And then they'll have a comic come in about once a month as well. So you get some variety.
I'm taking my niece to see a show there the day after Valentine's Day. I'm very much looking forward to it. Yes. Yeah. We've got some great things like that in the community. I appreciate you highlighting those too. I'm glad that you're really exploring and taking that all in. That's awesome.
And it feels like we've just begun as well. And this summer too, it's my parents in Ohio are like, oh, do you want to come back for the summer? And that's really the good time to be here. And so we looked at like a big trip, but then there's also so many long weekend trips you can do in a couple weeks. It's 4.5 hours south to go to the Redwoods.
Yep.
We can get to Olympic National Park in Washington, and is at 5 hours. There's so much, but then we did a float trip on the Deschutes River. That was only like a couple hours away to get there.
We call these Oregon outings. Whenever I go on a trip with my family, they're usually patient with me enough to let me take little video clips along the way, and then we make a YouTube video about Oregon outing. Go check out this thing.
Yeah.
And there's just endless. I can't believe that I haven't made it to some of those things that you're mentioning. It's, of course, I need to go do this. Yeah. So what are some more of those that you would recommend for people who are, let's say, doing a reconnaissance trip to the Mid-Valley? If they're thinking about moving here, they're going to be here for maybe a long weekend or for a week, whatever the case may be. What would you put on their radar? Oh, you got to go check out this.
I think it depends on what the interests are. But if you are more like in the outdoors, obviously you want to eat your way through downtown.
Yes.
Yes. And there's a lot of local shops as well. So I mentioned Grassroots Bookstore. There's also Book Bin. But then there's also, as far as clothing goes, so there's limited big box stores, but like the Golden Crane, there's a lot of resale stores. My daughter loves Runway because she is getting all of the cool college kids clothes that are being sold, and then she gets to buy them in consignment at a fraction of the price.
We really do have a notably vibrant resale community in town.
Yeah, I would say there might be upwards of 10, maybe 8 to 10 shops that.
My wife does most of her shopping at resale. We got her wedding dress at one of them, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
boy.
It's a good
Look
find.
at
you. Yeah, they don't usually have those, but they worked out.
Yeah. As far as the outdoors, it's for a more, I would say, slightly strenuous hike, Chip Ross, for something that's a little bit easier going. McDonald Forest, the Lewisburg Saddle trailhead is fantastic. You go through the new and the old growth forest. PV Arboretum, close by, gorgeous. Bald Hill, there's just close to Bald Hill, Fenton Green is one of our favorite hikes that I can take my parents, and it just gives these great 180 views of the valley. That's beautiful.
Fenton Green, I'd really emphasize. We recommend that one to people a lot because you can drive up into the West Hills and you can park, and then it's a medium hike. It's not like it's a super strenuous hike, but you put it perfectly. You've got this just 180 views, Mary's Peak off in the distance, beautiful trees, clouds, take a picnic up there. That's a great example.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you do, and Elsie Falls is another, that's a little bit, you got to go out a little bit But definitely there's just with being in the outdoors and just the gloriousness of the Pacific Northwest, the mushroom foraging.
Yeah.
It's rare in the fall and the spring that you don't see somebody with basket underarm. And
do you connect with the farmers market people that have like the mushroom farms?
Yes.
That's probably not the right word for it, but you know what I'm referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's one of the go-tos on the farmers markets. So it's downtown when it's the nice weather in the winter. Then I've not been, but it's in
the fairgrounds.
The fairgrounds.
So a lot of people think that's Philomath. It's really just West Corvallis.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. When I first moved here, I was getting my oil changed at the oil can Henry's, and I was like, "Is this Philomath?" They're like, "No, buddy, you're still in Corvallis." Yeah. It gets very quiet very quickly in West and Southwest Corvallis, and you think that you're entering a different town as you start hitting some of those things.
Yeah, because I think of Corvallis as just this circle of an area, and it takes 15 minutes. I would say that is the one thing that has spoiled me with Corvallis, is it's 15 minutes to anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's like the long track. So where I used to have 45 minutes to an hour commute in Cincinnati, here it takes me less than 10 minutes to get to work, which is...
We get spoiled very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a friend of mine joked with me when my wife and I moved to far west Philomath. He was like, "Oh, you're 16 minutes away from me now, Mike. I don't know if we're going to get to visit you anymore." It was like, oh, this huge Herculean or Odyssey to go to West Philomath. Yeah.
But it's funny how quickly you adjust now, because then it's, I got caught in traffic going to take my son to baseball over at Crystal Lake. And it was like, okay, traffic means that it took you 16 minutes to get from home to the ball field. That's bad traffic.
The only real traffic we have here would be on football game days. So that's 5 or 6 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
Or Van Buren going out of town at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
It's all still relative. We move a lot of people here from Los Angeles County, and they're like, "Michael, you don't have traffic here." I'm like, "I know, but for us, this counts."
I know, but talk to them a year from now, and then they'll be complaining about the 15-minute traffic.
Yeah, the bridge is being expanded that goes from downtown towards I-5. They're making it into a 2-lane bridge, which is going to take a few days.
Yeah.
But it's all being built right now. Yeah.
I would say another, for anybody that golfs,
Sure.
there's several golf courses. I just know of Tristine Tree. I aspire to join the golf league this next year. We'll see if that happens.
Go for it.
But that's another nice perk. And that's just on the other side of that bridge. That's what made me think about that.
It's right across from downtown Corvallis on the other side of the Willamette River. Yeah.
And other things that I have not done, but everybody talks about, of course, the Oregon State college sports. Everybody knows football, but then the gymnastics team is maybe even
incredible. Like we have Olympic gymnasts. And
there's just, it all depends on what you're into, but I feel like it's definitely been a great fit for me and my family. But even if you had different interests, I'm certain that somebody would be able to find their people, their niche.
You mentioned that your son's playing baseball. I don't have kids myself. I used to be a public school teacher in town. Do you feel like you can speak to the intramural, if that's the right word, and like sports scene for kids? I know that there's like soccer and apparently baseball too, but I don't know any of this super well. What's that like?
So the baseball, it seems to be, they have a board. It's Corvallis Little League. They have a board. They seem to be very serious about it. We have we're newer to the program. Very organized.
I know your next volunteer place.
Yeah. No, I'm going to stay clear of that one. Okay. And let's see, my daughter plays volleyball. So when she is not in season at Crescent Valley High School, G3 offers an academy and a club league for volleyball as well.
Club sports would be the word I was looking for before. So G3 Fitness is a relatively new, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, but relatively new, really nice sports and fitness facility in the Lewisburg area, which is really still just North Corvallis.
Correct.
There's a sign that says "Welcome to Lewisburg," as if it's a different town. It's not.
Yes.
So that's one of the big private facilities, along with Timber Hill Athletic Center, for example.
Yes. And they have, even if you're not a member of Timber Hill, my son played basketball there. And that's just a gorgeous facility as well.
Very nice. Yeah. There's a lot of great fitness places. Samaritan, which is like Samaritan Regional Medical Center. Samaritan has Sam Fit, and there's a lot of 24/7 Snap Fitness type stuff too.
Oh, yes. Burn Boot Camp, Orange Theory.
Yeah.
Yes. For now, I'm just sticking with the hikes. That's it.
You got plenty of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's excellent. Do you have a feel for cost of living in a just very general sense? I'm not asking you to say what your electric bill is compared to other places or compared to what you expected, or what things maybe cost more or less, or what you'd figure around here just for reference.
Yeah, I would say utilities, groceries, your day-to-day expenses, I'm finding very similar to what we had in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Even our real estate taxes. We did live in a suburb where it was known to have slightly higher property taxes. In Cincinnati here, everybody says that this is really high, but for us, it's a little bit on par from where we moved from. I would say that housing in Corvallis specifically is more expensive than what I had expected, especially when you look at surrounding areas like in Albany and in Philomath. For us moving from out of town and not knowing the area, I was just going for, okay, we know that they have solid schools, and we had people tell us that really good schools. But now that we've lived here for a while, they've got great schools in Albany. They've got great schools in Philomath.
Yeah.
We would have been fine in any of those places had we landed in a city outside of Corvallis.
And I didn't want to lead the witness, so I really appreciate your candid response there. It's going to fit with the pattern that you're going to hear in other interviews like this.
Okay.
A lot of people are saying the exact same thing, which is my impression as well. But again, I don't want to bias your thoughts. Yeah. Yeah. The housing is definitely more, and part of that is the university town. And part of it's also that Corvallis is a slow growth community. So the zoning's really tight and there's barely any new development. So you have a perfect storm of supply and demand when that sort of thing happens.
Yeah, we were lucky when we moved that we were able to find a home to rent because there seemed to be few and far between. So we were able to find a rental, and then through friends, we were able to switch over to another rental that was on Witham Hill, which is where I knew that's where I wanted to find a home. And I was like, maybe I just rent there, then I can, through word of mouth find, and we ended up buying the home that we rented. But I would say rent. I know we are very fortunate.
Okay.
But definitely, I'm glad that we rented because like we talked about, even just within Corvallis, there's so many different neighborhoods. Why Your Driving Tour is probably so popular on YouTube because it's hard to really get a feel until you're here for a while.
And I just want to really emphasize that. So I'm oversensitive and maybe assume people's perceptions of the real estate industry, perhaps unnecessarily. But I always worry that people think we're just trying to sell them homes. And we tell people constantly, let us just give you advice to find a rental. Settle into a rental first, and then you'll know that you like the area, and you'll be way more confident when you actually go to buy a house because you'll have been here for 6, 10, 12 months, whatever it is. It's definitely the way to do it if you don't mind moving twice. Yeah. That's a really key part of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives you another opportunity because before you move the first time, you bin all of your junk. And then you get the rental, and then it's like you start unpacking. You're like, I didn't really need all of this. And then before you move again, you get a third round. So
I like your perspective.
It's not fun, but in the end, it was, wow, we can actually get things organized, and I can find all the Christmas decorations without hurting myself tripping over boxes.
I still have a few boxes to unpack, and I moved 5 years ago into our most recent house. Yeah. So this is a good
Stick with it.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment for you and your family where you felt like, oh, this is home? Like we really hit the nail on the head with this move?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely. And definitely after the holidays. So we went back for over a week to Ohio because my family, my husband's family, they are all still in Ohio. Spent our time there and going to visit friends in Cincinnati. And it's just getting to see good friends and going to all the old haunts. Had so much fun. And there was a bit like, I did miss it a bit.
Sure.
As soon as we got off the plane and then drove up to her home, it was like, this is home. Yeah, no regrets whatsoever. And how quickly too, because we lived in our last home for 10 years and here it's 2.5 that we've been in Corvallis, and neighbors that are friends and just feel a part of the community. And
it's really good. Yeah.
Have all my favorite places, and
Excellent.
Feels like home.
Is there anything, as we wrap up, is there anything that you would do differently or recommend, as advice for people now that you had the experience of being here for a few years and getting settled in?
I would say one thing, I love the neighborhood where we are on Witham Hill so much, but there is a factor of and my husband gives me a hard time. I'm going to go down the hill. You are winding around.
Sure.
And it's then getting all back up. And again, this is getting spoiled with commute times and such. But I really love the downtown area and being downtown. This is a great fit for us and our family. But when we think about different neighborhoods, if I would pick a second place, if they said, okay, you can't live there, a second place, I would definitely live
More downtown.
Yeah, more downtown area. And there's just so many the arts and crafts, bungalows, like those old homes are, I really like that area as well. And then being able to bike easily and get around town.
Yeah.
You see so many people out and about their bikes. I want to do that. So I can. It's just, it's a tough haul getting back up the hill.
You have to be a little bit more serious about bike commuting to live in Witham Hill and really still be going up and down there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm having the electric bike.
Oh, yeah.
That would help.
The e-bikes for sure.
That would help.
Yeah. But yeah, downtown's more in the flats. That's more in the valley. But Witham Hill really is nestled in to the foothills of the Coast Range there. You're getting actual hills.
Yes.
And you have both. You have these options to choose from in this area. Yeah. But I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
as a volunteer and representative, if that's okay to say, of Jackson Street Youth Services. Yeah. Because that's what kicked off this whole project. Thank you for all you're doing in the community as well.
Absolutely.
And folks, do all the normal YouTube stuff. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the videos, all that kind of stuff. But really, at the end of the day, we're never too busy for you. If we can be a resource for you long before you get here, ideally, we can answer questions, hop on a casual Zoom call, help you pre-plan a visit. Just give us a buzz, simple as that. So thanks so much for checking this out. Bye for now.